What is up, everybody? It is Owen Shapiro. Today, we are going to be discussing what I read, comparing the book versus the movie. The Big Short, all right, written by Michael Lewis. Thought it was pretty captivating. The movie, all right, the movie shows it in a very visual angle, but the book, right, the book, the angle it goes for is something that is more out of numbers, datas, digits, and it's pretty impressive how the movie was able to take such a difficult subject and turn it into something that people can watch, understand. Because scenes that are only 5 minutes, maybe a few 5 minute scenes, they take maybe like 50 to 100 pages to write down and express, right? And show what happened. Some of this has to do with the CDOs and the CDSs, all right? So everybody knows the famous scene, or many people who've watched economical films know the famous scene where Ryan Gosling has the Jenga tower, right? He has the Jenga tower. And what that's showing is similar to the housing in the book, but what he's showing is simplifying that the CDOs and the CDSs, they started off with people who were trying to get bonds and loans for their houses. All right, they couldn't pay it off. So it trickled down to the top because if they couldn't pay it off, then the people that they're trying to pay the loans to, they couldn't pay off their bosses, right? Because that's how their firms would make money, right? They pay each level, they rely on each part of the firm. And if the ground up, just something small isn't working, it showed how the firm would pretty much dissipate. Okay. I think something that's important about this is the CDOs and the CDSs, right? So the credit default swaps, right, and the CDOs, right? The swaps are making it so they can stop the CDOs, because what it was a lot of the defaulting, the credit defaults were like, it's like I said, the bonds. People were not being able to pay their housing. It would often be they target immigrants. They would profile people to send them into the country, and then many people wouldn't end up getting their money back because how do you come in with no money, nothing. And another thing that was important was the ones that did succeed was they were buying houses and reselling them, which fairly so. So another thing that's important about this too is that the CDSs, the swaps, were ensuring people they get their money back after the housing crisis or during and after it. So there's famous scenes in the book where they talk about each one crashing, like it's almost like a domino effect, right? Like the steps, how it happens. And I think that was pretty unique to watch, seeing how like throughout the book it shows like a lot of the guys who had money in who knew this was going to fall, but they were betting against the market. So they predicted it. They predicted it, and people were annoyed when they gave up all this money expecting that they'd be safe. And the ones who succeeded, fairly so, the ones who fairly succeeded, people were trying to catch them almost like, oh, haha, you did something messed up. It was really a lot of the CEOs and stuff that were messing with the CDOs, knowing that the people underneath them couldn't really get their money back at times. I mean, they created different datas, like the ratio of the price of like where you're living versus your income, right? So the price of your living is the first number, the income is the next. So it was like 2 to 1, 3 to 1. Then they found out the price of where you're living, the rent or the mortgage or whatever it was 6 times the average income in major cities, in major areas. And I mean, now the income, the housing is much higher and higher and higher. So pretty scary to see. Uh, I mean, this has definitely had a trickling effect on today's society. I mean, the average housing for someone that's under, and I'm not, look, I'm not trying to complain. All right. Everyone's situation is different. many situations are different than mine. I'm not, some specific, oh, I'm everybody, but generally housing for people under the age of 30 years old is very difficult to find because the average rent or mortgage per income, right, is around that. Like it was at 6 to 1 and it just keeps getting higher and higher and higher from based off the book. So I think it's pretty important to see where this all started. And like a lot of this had to do with example, there were rules and regulations that started in around 2006. So there's going to be stricter rules on housing and bonds and mortgages. And then as soon as that happened, a lot of people put a lot of money into the housing only to have it come back right at them. So that is a pretty unique situation where people were rushed in and, the, this S&P, they were saying it was completely fine. A lot of people ended up hearing the end of it. So, I mean, that's what happened. And it showed the embarrassment that a lot of the guys who succeeded, who were not trying to be, ripping people off, or using it against people, but they knew it was going to fall. The people who succeeded, they felt bad about it and they donated a lot of money to, a lot of people or their investors because they didn't, they felt bad that they succeeded when everyone else, put so much money into the market expecting it would succeed. And yeah, it was the worst crash since the 1930s, the Great Depression. I think something else about it too is that they show the casino scene for Selena Gomez, right? Right? They show, oh, okay, here's Selena Gomez. Selena Gomez is putting a bet, and someone's putting a bet on another bet. And the bets keep going on and on and on and on, right? With the subprime mortgages. That's partly what had to do with another type of the Jenga effect, where if one of the bets didn't work in the beginning, all the other bets ended up falling off. And I thought that was pretty amazing. Oh, here we go. We got Joey in the chat. We got Joey. What's up? What is up? Okay. Oh my gosh. Hashtag retweet. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Anyway, everybody, what would I give ratings of the movie versus the book? I think the movie gets a 4 out of 5. I'd say let's give it like an 8 out of 10. I think the movie, while it made it simpler, it didn't have all the detail that the book had, which was probably a 9.5 out of 10. It's hard. You're comparing like something with so much digital numbers and data, and then you're comparing it with how do you summarize that in under, I don't know, 2 hours, 30 minutes tops. It was pretty crazy. So I give the movie an 8 out of 10. But it's still a great 8 out of 10. It was able to summarize it well. And I think the book gets a 9.5 out of 10. Anyway, everybody, I'm your boy, Owen Shapiro. I'm out. Stay cinema.